The Fifth Circuit of Appeals in New Orleans decided the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives did not have the authority to define bump stocks as machine guns, which are heavily restricted.
Bump stocks are not machine guns. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms for NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And let's talk about this. Now, this is very big news. If you remember, I did a video on the Supreme Court actually not even wanting to entertain a bump stock ban lawsuit. But this one has actually, a New Orleans appeals court has struck down the bump stock ban, claiming that the ATF, and this is important, cannot make law. It's part of the ruling. Now, I just want to play a little bit of this video because there's some information here that we just got to get for the context. So let's get that in.
Jennifer Walker Elrod wrote in the opinion, a plain reading of the statutory language paired with close consideration of the mechanics of a semi-automatic firearm reveals that a bump stock is excluded from the technical definition of machine gun set forth by the Gun Control Act and National Firearms Act. Bump stocks were used in the 2017 Las Vegas shooting that killed 58 people and injured hundreds, and it spurred political pressure to ban the devices nationwide. And at the end of 2018, the Justice Department gave bump stock owners 90 days to destroy or turn in the devices.
What happened in Las Vegas was terrible, but to do a knee-jerk reaction and just to go in everyone's home in the United States and grab a particular product just because a person might have used that product is not the American way.
Central Texas Gunworks owner Michael Cargill surrendered his bump stocks but wanted to fight against it. So he filed a lawsuit against the Department of Justice and ATF. He says the case is not about gun control, but who has the constitutional right to change the law, stating the Justice Department doesn't have the right to issue the ban.
The federal government cannot rewrite law. You know, we're talking about triggers, we're talking about AR pistols, we're talking about everything that the ATF wants to ban. We're saying you need to stop because you just can't change your mind one day and create a law. You can't do that. You can't ban something. Congress has to write a law, and that's how it becomes law.
Okay, heard that and you saw that. Now, I want to come over here. And this is a WRAL news. And at the majority opinion is that, and this is important, is that bump stocks do not fall under the definition of machine gun because they don't. A machine gun, those of you should know this, but I have to say it. Machine gun, you hold the trigger down and the gun fires until the magazine is empty. A bump stock causes the trigger to reset itself for each shot through the inertia of the gun being fired. So the court is saying that is not the definition of a machine gun, so you can't ban this. That's why we're saying this is going to be, we're overturning this. But let's jump in here. There's, like I said, WRAL News. U.S. Appeal Court blocks ban on rapid fire bump stocks. Okay. And this was Friday. It was struck down. I come down here. A Trump administration ban on bump stocks, devices that enable a shooter to rapidly fire multiple rounds from semi-automatic weapons after initial trigger pull, was struck down Friday by a federal appeals court in New Orleans. We know why it was initiated, because of one incident in Las Vegas. One incident caused them to then ban these bump stocks. Okay, but in a 13-3 ruling at the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, in the latest in the issue, they struck it down. And obviously this is going to go to the Supreme Court. But the decision doesn't have an immediate effect on the ban, though, because the case now moves back to the lower court to decide how to proceed. They have to decide whether to take it up to the next level. The case is somewhat unique because the issue involves not the Second Amendment, but the interpretation of federal statutes. Opponents of the ban argued that bump stocks do not fall under the definition of illegal machine guns in federal law. The U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives say they do, a position now being defended by the Biden administration. What is a surprise? Now, this is where I was talking about right before I got into this article. Quote, a plain reading of the statutory language paired with close consideration of the mechanics of a semi-automatic firearm reveals that a bump stock is excluded from the technical definition of a machine gun set forth in the Gun Control Act and National Firearms Act. Judge Jennifer Walker Elrod wrote in the lead majority opinion. Remember, this is 13-3 that decided this. So the court found that the definition of a machine gun, which is set out in 2 different federal statutes, does not apply to bump stocks. Okay. Now I want to come down to the full appeals court Friday sided with opponents of the ATF rule. They had argued that the trigger itself functions multiple times when a bump stock is used, so therefore bump stock weapons do not qualify as machine guns under federal law. By the plain language, they do not. But they point to a language in the law that defines a machine gun as one that fires multiple times with a single function of the trigger. Okay. There's also, obviously, you have to give both sides, but there's a dissent. And in the dissent, Stephen Higginson disagreed that bump stocks don't fall under the federal definition of machine guns. He wrote that the majority's interpretation of the lenity principle was too broad. Under the majority's rule, the defendant wins by default, whether the government fails to prove that a statute unambiguously criminalizes the defendant's conduct, Higginson wrote. Now, I'm going to say this, and I've said this multiple times. Judges don't necessarily rule based on the Constitution. They kind of say we are, but they're not. What they rule on is their personal biases. That's why when a Republican nominates a Supreme Court justice, the left loses their mind. And when a Democrat elects the same Supreme Court justice, the right loses their mind, because they know that they use their feelings and their biases in any opinion they give out. And that's not how it's supposed to work. But we come out of there. Now, by definition, and I said this right from the beginning, when they first put this ban in, when Trump put this ban in, that by definition, this isn't going to work, because bump stocks do not act like machine guns. I don't have to re-explain that whole premise that a machine gun, you just hold the trigger down. Whereas a bump stock, the trigger gets reset each time with each movement, the inertia movement of the firearm. So they're not, by definition, machine guns. What's going to have to happen is an act of Congress. They're going to have to pass a law to ban these. The ATF cannot make law, which is going to bring us back to the whole arm brace rule. The arm brace rule is going to suffer the same consequences as the bump stock ban, and there was another, and also the 80% low receiver, basically the ban they put in there. But the arm brace ban is going to follow the same path. It's going to get overturned as unconstitutional, and the ATF can't make law. So this is all good stuff happening out there. Once again, let's keep an eye on this stuff, be active. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below, and as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.